infrastructural developments, clean energy, manufacturing above all, production of consumer goods and services that can generate export revenue to augment the meager earnings we're getting from crude oil. Now, this is an uphill task. It's not something that can be done overnight. And this is where you engineers are vital to Nigeria's future. You see, if you guys are not on board, we're not going anywhere. That's just the truth of the matter. And let me just point out that there's two things you need before you can even start to manufacture goods, right? If you really want to diversify your economy, you have to manufacture goods. And there are two things you need: power and steel. Ajaokuta is lying comatose. Alaja is not functioning. We're only generating 7,000 megawatts of electricity and distributing 4,000, compared with Egypt's 50,000. So these are two crucial areas where you engineers really have to step in and say, you know what, let us take over these two things and get them functioning. If you can get them functioning, we've got hope. But without steel and power, you will never manufacture. And without manufacturing, you've got no finished product export. You just become a dumping ground for finished goods manufactured from elsewhere. I was writing just earlier today, I wrote a story about how we've just signed an MOU with Russia to supply us with their coronavirus vaccine when it's ready. And I'm asking the question, why did this MOU not involve the Russians opening a factory in Nigeria to manufacture these drugs? When the vaccine is ready, let us manufacture it. We can distribute to other African countries at the very least and get a share of the proceeds. But we're not thinking like this. We're not thinking about how to diversify our economy. We produce so many agricultural goods, for instance. We're the number one producer. We're the world's largest producer of yam. We account for something like 70% of world production. We're the number one producer of cassava. We're the number one producer of egusi melon seed, number one producer of cocoa yam, number one producer of shea nuts, number one producer of cola nuts. How many factories have we got to produce these things and turn them into finished products that we can manufacture, that we can sell? Cassava is known in Thailand as tapioca pellets. They produce about half as much as us, but they process this into animal feed and they export it to compounders across the world. Everybody is buying, every animal feed compounder is buying Thai tapioca pellets. Nobody is buying that of Nigeria. Why? Because we haven't processed it. So you engineers, the first thing we need actually is the machinery. We need to start manufacturing machine tools, then start manufacturing machines that can process all this produce into finished goods that we can then sell abroad. And it's across the board. There's so many, you see, we've got a competitive advantage with a lot of tropical crops because of our size. Goods like cocoa, rubber, palm oil, mangoes, coconuts. These are all agricultural products where we could step up production, open plantations, easily become the world's number one producer. But to make revenue, to generate income from them, we simply have to add value. And I would like to see Nigeria pass a law whereby it's illegal to export primary products. If we have a law that for anything to be exported, you've got to add 50% value, I think it would speed up the process of economic diversification. Because you look at Nigeria generates something like between $30 and $50 billion a year based on the price of oil. So if we have that as a benchmark and say, you know what, we want to generate between $30 and $50 billion a year from other sources outside oil. If we set that as a benchmark, we can then give ourselves a target and say, okay, we want to achieve this within 5, 10, 12 years, whatever it takes. But we are going to end our dependency on crude oil. And this is where we're severely lacking as a nation. We simply haven't focused enough on agricultural produce. We haven't focused enough on manufacturing. And even you look at basic things like security. One of the reasons why Boko Haram has been so rampant was that at the outset, the Nigerian military did not have the equipment. So by the time you place an order with a supplier, it takes a year, 2 years, sometimes 3 years for them to supply you with what you need. Now, no country in the world is going to supply you with the defense equipment you need in the quantities you need at the time you need it. It's not as if they've got it in their warehouses just waiting for Nigeria to come along. No, it's got to be manufactured to spec. So if we're serious about security and about defending ourselves, we have to manufacture our own defense equipment. With the rate of insecurity across the country, Boko Haram, herdsmen, bandits, if we don't do it, I'm sorry, the insecurity is just going to grow. I mean, on top of that, we've got the corruption. Even when we make the money available, the generals pocket, half of the money. But if you have a domestic supplier who's producing these goods, it's a little bit harder for them to steal money so brazenly. On the other hand, where you give them $1 billion, go and buy some, they just do what they want. So across the spectrum, you look at healthcare, you look at food, you look at manufactured goods, or you look at the consumer items we use on a day-to-day basis. We're a country of 200 million people. Why would any other country in the world manufacture enough telephone handsets for 200 million people? They're not set up to do that. You look at automobiles, you look at laptop computers, you look at fridge freezers, you look at all the day-to-day items we use. No other country in the world has got the inventory to just supply Nigeria when they want to. And even if they did, are we really going to be wasting our foreign exchange buying goods that we can easily manufacture ourselves? I mean, this is an engineering forum, and I'm sure all of you here, if you were gainfully employed alongside the government to manufacture all these goods, there's nothing we can't produce. I don't believe there's anything we don't have the expertise. We have the engineering skills, especially in the diaspora, but we've got to find a way to engage them and get you guys, to start churning out these goods on a daily basis. Otherwise, we're just going to be dependent on oil perpetually. And that's what happens when the oil dries up? What happens if oil prices collapse to $10 a barrel? With the move towards electric cars, anyway, oil purchasing is going to start reducing. So we've got to really, really make this our most important priority. How do we diversify our economy and start producing a lot of these goods that we produce? I mean, some of the things we import are just embarrassing. Nails, toothpicks, Brazilian hair. And you ask yourself, excuse me, we've got all these products in abundance. Why are we importing them? It just doesn't make sense. We're exporting raw timber and importing toothpicks. Where's the logic to that kind of reasoning? So, I could go on and on and on and on, but, sometimes it gets depressing when you look at the waste, the colossal waste in the Nigerian economy. The things we just import. I mean, we import rice, we import sugar, we import wheat. And I'm saying, is it that we can't grow sugar cane in Nigeria? Why are we importing sugar? Tetalab, British Sugar, they've all got factories in the UK. Has any state governor actually ever approached them and says, you know what? Okay, I'm going to dedicate 50,000 acres to sugarcane production. Please come and open a sugarcane processing plant in Nigeria. We will supply you with all the raw cane. You supply us with all the raw sugar. It's a win-win situation for everybody. And the sad thing, one of the saddest things about the Nigerian economy is that we've actually got a very captive market in ECOWAS. You see, the way the West African economy is structured, all those other countries are highly dependent on Nigeria. If we manufacture goods, they will buy, because it's cheaper for them to buy from Nigeria than to buy from India, China, Japan, US, Germany, or whatever. This is a captive market. We should be cornering it. I'll just be modest saying, we need to get $30 to $50 billion a year from manufacturing. If we really gave it a go, I don't see why we couldn't generate $100 billion a year from exports. I mean, you just look at the automobile market. Innosun's the only company we've got manufacturing automobiles in Nigeria. Have we invited the likes of Renault, Toyota, Peugeot, and said, hey guys, come, let's turn Nnewi into the Detroit of Africa. Detroit, as you all know, is a big car city. We can say to them, you know what? We want 3 or 4 of you in Nnewi manufacturing cars, not assembling, manufacturing. Look for a group of, just put it out in the open and say, okay, whoever wants to manufacture windscreens, tires, wipers, car seats, whatever, all the component parts, open your factories. We'll have all these car manufacturers in one city, in Newi, and you'll be supplying them. If we can do all that, I don't see why the industry can't thrive. Why can't you employ 1 million people and be churning out automobiles on a massive basis, and we're exporting it across? Let's start with ECOWAS. We can then expand across the rest of Africa. So, I mean, I look at the potential of Nigeria, our human resource, our natural resources, our captive market. We've got so much going on.
It's a contribution.
All right, I have to round up. Okay, so yes, we've got all this, but so engineers, in rounding up, I would say, please see what you can do, and let's get Nigeria producing other goods. Thank you very much. Okay.
Right, thank you very much. Were you stopped there, or you want to continue going?
Oh, I thought I was asked to.
No. We didn't stop you. Your concluding remarks that you haven't covered, please. Go ahead.
All right, okay.
Yeah, somebody just didn't mute their mouth, their mic, sorry.
Okay. No, I think, well, on the whole, I think we've covered most of it.
Right.
And it's just, we just need to sort out the fundamental basics, which for me, I'll round up on this. First of all, we need power and steel. I've mentioned those. Secondly, we need to sort out our export ports. We need to drastically say, let's have 10 to 12 ports along the coast so we can ship all these goods abroad. Thirdly, in terms of expertise, I would like us to adopt a regime whereby we're aggressively pursuing companies that manufacture all these goods worldwide and say, you know what, come to Nigeria, we'll give you a 50-year land lease. We'll give you a 50-year land lease. We'll give you tax holidays for 5 years. We'll give you all sorts of incentives to get going. And fourthly, one thing I'm really, really desperate to see is state governors taking the initiative. As Nigeria stands at the moment, everything is centered towards the central government. Now, that is never going to work. It is simply never going to work, because under the Land Use Act, it is state governors who own the land. They have got to be the ones going around to say, look, you know what? Peugeot, come to my state. Tetenla, come to my state. Cadbury, come to my state. Let us woo all these companies, get them to come here. And I would just like to see the governors given targets whereby they can say, you know what, I want to generate $5 billion in export earnings for my state this year. If we had all 36 states, I had all 36 governors thinking like that, we'd be on the road to salvation. At the moment, what we're doing is governors are buying goods and importing them. The federal government is importing goods and distributing them, depleting our major foreign reserves. And lastly, one other thing I'd really, really want the government to do is pass laws that prohibit the importation of any good unless the supplier is coming to Nigeria to open a manufacturing facility. I look at the railway project Rotimi Amici is undergoing at the moment. He's buying trains from China, he's buying tracks from China, he's buying signaling tracks from China. Why? I want to know why all those plants manufacturing those goods are not based in Nigeria. They should be here. We should be churning them out. So we should not, on the one hand, we should be servicing the local markets. On the other hand, we should also be exporting across the rest of the continent. So the goal should be to turn Nigeria into the manufacturing hub of Africa. We're the world's largest black nation, and I believe that bestows on us a responsibility, to sit at the high table of humanity. We are simply too large a nation to carry, and this import dependency, frankly, I find it highly embarrassing. We should be one of the big industrial giants, competing with the likes of China and India, Brazil, Mexico, other developing nations that are aggressively, catching up with Europe and North America. So we should be saying to ourselves, you know what, in 5 to 10 years' time, we want to be able to match the export produce of a country like India or Brazil, or in 15 years' time, we want to generate as much export revenue as, say, Mexico, Indonesia. But at the moment, it's we seem to be content being eternal importers, and I find that hugely embarrassing. So I'm just going to close with this. You engineers, I think you've got to be at the vanguard and at the forefront of this fight. Let's turn Nigeria into a country that has a diversified economy with several revenue streams across the board: clothing, textiles, manufactured goods, food, processed foods, you name it. Let's telecoms. Let's have a diversified economy that is not susceptible, to one commodity or the vagaries of one market. And I think if we do that, we can see a dramatic boom in Nigeria. We will see a dramatic boom in Nigeria's economy. My next book, when it's due out, I'm hoping to get it out this year. It talks about how we can make Nigeria a $2 trillion economy. And I really believe that if we really focus on diversification, we can get a 2 trillion economy. All right. Thank you very much.
Wonderful, Ayo, fantastic. You've really set the whole ball going here. Some of your ideas, which is always, amuse me. And I can tell you, those engineers on board today, they're going to ask you some very interesting questions. So before we do that, I just want to, as usual, acknowledge a couple of guys. And your statement is very right, Ayo. Because on this platform, as I'm seeing now, we have guys from the Ministry of Work and Housing, from Transport, Power, Mine and Steel, Education, Niger Delta, which your book was based on, Agriculture and Rural Development, Science and Technology, Water Resources, Trade and Investment, and Petroleum that we want to get rid of. They're on board today. So they're going to be firing some questions. So if you have a question, I think the best thing, or the two ways to get this question and answer session going, is either to type your question in, which some people have already done, or to raise your hand. And I'm going to be calling people that raise their hand to unmute themselves and ask a question. But the first two questions I've seen online, which has been typed, I'm going to post it to you. Ayo, actually. One of them is specific, actually, maybe I'll be able to answer that. It says, how can engineers in diaspora help local engineers to develop great educations in this area that you've mentioned? That we're not even teaching our engineers enough things in the university, our students, enough knowledge to be able to, when they come out, to be able to aspire and be able to develop this kind of, manufacturing plants and all these things that you've mentioned. Yes, of course, for me, the whole of the engineering education, not just in Nigeria, in many other countries, needs to be revamped. I can tell you that for the last 200 years, education is one thing that haven't changed. All of us have our phone. I'm telling you, 220 years ago, this phone wasn't looking like this. It was massive, like a bottle of water in those days. Now look at it. You could put it in your pocket. Cars. You see cars manufactured now and cars manufactured 200 years ago. But you go into classroom now, and it's the same classroom 200 years ago. So we haven't developed anything new. So we need to revamp. Students learn differently now. They communicate differently. They read differently. They don't carry books around anymore. Everything's on iPad or phone, whatever. So the whole education system needs to be changed towards that. So that's the answer to that. Right. Engineer Moses mentioned that how do we set up manufacturing without power infrastructure? So this is yours, Ayo.
To be honest, power is something we need to look at holistically. First of all, I don't think we should be too dependent on one source of power, because when we saw in Japan, when they had an earthquake, Japan is so dependent on nuclear power. When they had an earthquake, it caused severe disruption. So we need to look at the various ways we can source power. There's hydro, there's nuclear, there's solar, there's wind. We have an 853-kilometer coastline from Badagry to Calabar. I would like us to have a wind farm across the entirety of our coastline. It will probably be the longest in the world. Let's have that. Let's generate wind power from there. Zamfara State, I believe, has the most sunlight in Nigeria. It's a very rural agrarian state. It should be one huge solar farm. You understand? Right? Hydro, we've got the River Nigers and Benue. The River Benue is always over flooding once a year. So all this water is just flooding Benue State when we should have built a huge hydroelectric power dam on it to generate power. We could do the same thing at Lokoja, we could do the same thing at Ida. We've got so many points on the River Niger and Benue where we could build hydroelectric plants. So, you know, we could source the energy, generate the energy from various sources. But then that brings us to the issue of transmission and distribution. Because to be honest, we've got a serious bottleneck there in Nigeria. And the first thing we need to do is attract manufacturers of transformers and transmitters to the country to start providing equipment locally. If we can do that, I'm disappointed the Siemens deal didn't involve that. It should have involved opening 2 or 3 massive factories. If we can do that, generate the power, and then attract some of the large players, it will solve some of the problems. Because the problem we had when NEPA was privatized was that politicians took over, and a lot of the people who bought these companies, these PHCN companies, were politicians. They weren't businessmen. You know, cronyism and the traditional Nigerian corruption took over. So they bought companies for bargain basement prices. They didn't factor in the amount of investment they needed. Then they found out they needed to buy equipment, and because they borrowed the money, the banks were asking for their money back. They had no capital to invest. Let us get professionals. I will ring-fence maybe about 6 or 6, maybe one per geopolitical. So I say this will only be sold to an established international player in the power sector, a company like Siemens, EDF Energy. Let them buy it, and we should woo these people. Let them come in and at least show that these things can be done properly. Then our local companies can be learning from them, you know, and they can take over.
Right. Thank you. Engineer Ed Ife, please, let's have your question.
Thank you very much, Ayo. I think I've been a keen follower of some of your postings. My question basically is in 2 parts, partly a question and partly a contribution. And that was, from your presentation, I can see that you mentioned a lot of industries that we should have. But if you go back to history, we've had all these industries, if not most of them, in the past. For example, we had the Anamcos, the PAN, the STAIR, and if you want to talk about some of the components, we also had the battery companies like the one in Ibadan that used to be in Ibadan. In terms of cocoa, we were processing cocoa up to some, some forms before they were exported. My question is, all these companies, Dunlop, Michelin, they were all there growing up. What happened to them? How did we allow them to die?
Nigeria. I know it's very unfortunate and pathetic. I remember, driving around industrial estates in Ikeja, in Maturi, in Inupeju. I used to have, Ogba used to be one big industrial site. We had several problems. One, power supply became once Nigeria's epileptic power supply problems became what they are today, it became uneconomical for these companies to produce. 2, when you found a company, the first thing you've got to think of is raw materials. A company cannot function, an industry cannot function unless it gets raw material. So once you have a company like Barrick, and you say, okay, what do these guys need? Maybe they need copper, maybe they need steel, maybe they need plastic. So you've got to make sure that the supplier industries, the feeder companies are working well. With the mess we made of Ayo Akinfe, to be honest, that in itself was enough to destroy a lot of these companies, because you can't have industrialization without steel. For me, Ayo Akinfe and Alaje are central to everything we do in Nigeria. They're so important. So no power, no raw materials. I'm sorry, these companies are going to collapse.
Thank you. Engineer Aiga Undukwe, please, your question, please. I know you raised up your hand. Engineer Ndukwe. Right. If he's not there, Professor NS Minor, can you please unmute yourself and ask your question? I see you've written quite a lot of questions here, but I want you to summarize it to us. So please unmute yourself.
Hello, good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Yeah, it's nice to be here. I want to thank the presenter for a wonderful presentation. My question is, how can the engineers in the diaspora help us solve some of these critical problems, especially in manufacturing? Because like one of the problems I said led to most of these things we are facing is our refineries not working. Because as our refineries are not working, there is so much pressure on foreign exchange. So that because of that, so many manufacturing companies find it difficult to get Forex. Because of all these things, they have to leave Nigeria. And infrastructure is also a major problem. So how do we as engineers from all around the world, how can we come to the aid of this country to fix it? Because if refineries are working, there wouldn't be too much pressure on dollar and other foreign exchange. So that's my little contribution. How do we solve this problem? Thank you very much.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, Prof. There's three issues here. I understand the Dangote refinery will come on stream maybe later this year, and it should produce enough petrol product to stop the imports. I'm hoping that will help immensely. You know, it will also produce other things like urea and then fertilizer. You know, these are things that, you know, are squeezing our meager forex. You know, it's just, I'm hoping once that happens, we can at least have the amount of foreign exchange we spend on needless things. So fingers crossed that proceeds. Secondly, on the issues of what you local engineers can do, to be honest, I think, you see, for me, you guys here are the vanguard of the whole thing, because a lot of diaspora engineers work in very, very high tech industries. I know in the UK, you know, I mean, someone like Dr. Sunday Gopal, I know some of the things he's worked on. You will be shocked that, you know, Nigeria is the way it is. So I think people like you guys need to try and woo some of these companies you're working for, to be honest, and get them to come to Nigeria to come and work. I mean, I'll give you one example. I've got a classmate who's working on the London Crossrail project. Brilliant professional, she does it wonderfully. In Lagos, do you know we've been building the light railway since 2009, right? It's only 35 kilometers, it's light railway, it's not a heavy good railway line. And I said to her, you know what, why don't you talk to your people in Crossrail? Please, let them come, they can sort that out with you. Within 1 year, what is 35 kilometers of light road? They can do it. So maybe you guys need to form a committee and, you know, an investment wooing committee. And then lastly, I also want you guys to step up the training of local engineers, because a lot of these things are very, very busy. These are things you guys do on a day-to-day basis. But as you know, was mentioned earlier, our universities are still, they haven't caught up with the 21st century. So maybe every year, the London branch of the Nigerian Society of Engineers goes to the youth corps camp, takes some young engineers and updates them on modern production methods. Because our skill set at the moment just has to catch up. If we want to compete, it's not just producing the good. The quality has got to be there, and we've got to produce it in a manner that makes it cost effective. Because if a good costs $20 to produce in Nigeria and it costs $5 to produce in China, everybody's going to go and buy it from China. So yes, we've got to become more efficient as well in our production.
Yeah, thank you very much. Just to add to that, we had a webinar on power production about 2 weeks ago. Amazing conversation, over 100 people attend that. And since then, NSE, London, UK have set up a mini committee to really look into this and address this. Some of us are very well connected to people in ministry and government. And we're putting a proposal together to see how we can help the country to deliver its power in all various means, solar, wind, and all that. So we're working on that. So thank you for that question. It was very relevant. I'm getting even more questions than I expect now. Plenty of people raising up their hands, but I'm going to give people who have also tapped out their question to read it out to us. Faiwa Wadasina, can you unmute yourself?
Yes. Good afternoon. Thank you. Thanks for the lovely presentation. I think my question had to do with the attitude and behavior of Nigerians. So I believe we've never had the scarcity of ideas, knowledge, and skills required for development. I think all our economic infrastructure and security problems can be linked to corruption. So my question then is, how can we change the mindset, change the attitude, change the behavior of the average Nigerian? Because without that, we can continue to discuss great ideas from now until decades to come, and we won't be where we've got the potential to be.
Okay. Thank you. You're very correct. And yeah, I can give you another example. I have another friend who went to the NPPIS in Kuru. He was actually a doctor, and he did something on dermatology. He came to the UK, did some lovely research on eczema and other skin problems, and he wrote a massive book. And he said he was shocked that when they went to the library at the NPPIS, there were at least 4 or 5 similar studies available. And this was across the board. He said, in all the sectors, they're just going through the same motions every year. So we have the ideas, but how do we change the mindset of the Nigerian? To be honest, for me, one key organization here is the National Orientation Agency. We have to change the way we think. This grab, now mentality, for me, is a big, because, some of you here in government, you know what happens. If you tell somebody, you know what, let's finish this project, you generate $10 billion over the next 5 years. You give him 2 million to do it. He's not going to think about the 10 million. He's going to think, that 2 million, I have to pocket it today. And then the project doesn't get done. So we have to change our mindset. People like to blame politicians, but I always say there's 109 senators in the National Assembly. If you went to Oshodi Market and picked 109 Nigerians at random, I don't think their thinking will be any different from that of the senators. We're all thinking of let us chop today. So yes, the National Orientation Agency has really got to step up to work and, nail this short-termist mentality. It's eating too deep into our psyche. We need to stop thinking long-term.
Right. Thank you very much. Engineer Patrick Obidoyin, please mute yourself and pose your question.
Good afternoon, Mr. Ayo Akinfe, and thank you for this brilliant presentation. I think one of the things I've noticed is with regards to funding for these infrastructure projects, because this is sometimes outside the power of those who want to execute this project. So we've got the technocrats, but then these projects also need to be funded, which is a very vital aspect. How do you think government policy can help? And I could go on with some examples, but I just want to stop here. Thank you.
Okay, with regards to funding, for me, the formula is simple. I believe we should really expand on the PPP concept. First of all, this issue of government having wholesale control of projects has proven to be a failure because of corruption and the red tape involved in government. For me, the government should not have more than a 25% stake in any venture. the good thing about having that stake is that it assures investors that the government is on board, but it doesn't give overall control to the investor. So if you say, okay, 25% state government, maybe, I don't know, 60% stake foreign investors who we should woo aggressively, and then the rest to the Nigerian local investors. And if we have it as a caveat again, that any project we fund, any project funded that way, we want it to be self-funding within 5 years. Let it recoup the investment, pay off the loans within 5 to 10 years. You know, as was the case with, just to use an example, look at Eurotunnel. Today it's making millions, you know, or probably billions. It was heavily geared, you know, a lot of money was borrowed, but it was set up to recoup money within a short space of time. And that should be our model, which we are selling to foreign companies, you know, like the automobile manufacturers. Come and open this, within 5 years, we guarantee you'll sell this number of cars and you'll recoup your investment. We can do it with rail companies, we can do it with power companies, we can do it with food processors. I don't see why not.
Right, thank you very much. Engineer Isaac Okebiorukosi.
Thank you very much. Can you hear me, sir?
Sorry, is that your name or?
Okebiorukosi.
Okebiorukosi. Why would I be able to pronounce that? Sorry.
And I put the accent on the name. If you notice there, all the vowels are accented.
Okay, thank you.
Anyway, thank you very much, presenter and the chair. I just have two simple questions because it gives me a headache when I see that something can be done in a better way, and I'm available here for my country, and I'm not being invited. Please, can you tell us, does Nigeria government invite us at all to decision on engineering project? Do they kind of consider, you know, at all whether our input is invited? Have there ever been, let's say, a structure, a system, or an arrangement in place that when an engineering project is being deciphered or they're going to budget for it, do they call us into it? We just meet here from time and time to make theories and plan and see that we can do better things. I mean, I just heard about some engineering projects which we say that we could have set up the development, the manufacturing here in Nigeria rather than bringing the imported manufactured things. I mean, if they had consulted with us, we would have advised them it was better to do that than to bring in the parts, number one. Number two, main question, when will we professionals get involved in governance of the country?
I'll start with the first question. There is a thing called the Nigerian Diaspora Summit, which holds in Abuja, whereby the government tries to engage the various professional diaspora bodies. And that holds once a year. Now, I don't know if they specifically invited the Society of Engineers, the Nigerian Society of Engineers, but I know they have, a sort of parley with diasporans. But so, in answer to your question, I think it's time for you guys to probably write in. I would suggest you write to the chair of the Diaspora Commission and maybe copy the Minister of Trade and Industries to say, you know what, we want to be involved in decision. We want you to consult us whenever you have any major projects. I believe the doctors did it a few years ago. I know they had a meeting with the health minister and said, look, sir, this and this and this is what we think we can do to help. Please consult with us, let us contribute. And it's not just diaspora engineers, to be honest. In Nigeria itself, we've got a lot of good engineers, whose contribution will be invaluable. I mean, on a daily basis, we keep seeing, be it drones, be it ventilators. People come up with good prototypes, but alas, there is no way to turn a prototype into a mass-produced good because the link isn't there. So, in answer to your question, I think there's the opportunity. Does the government speak to us? Not enough. I don't think. And I think you need to meet with the Minister of Technology and the Minister of Trade and Industry. Have a sit down with the two of them and really, push your agenda aggressively. That would be my advice to to the Nigerian Society of Engineers.
Thank you very much.
I'll send text messages to you. Kindly respond to them when you get them. Thank you.
No problem. Thank you. Engineer Donatus Oru, please, your question.
Thank you very much, presenter. I want to be practical. If we want to help the country, the Nigerian Society of Engineers, first of all, we need to engage the National Assembly leadership, the Senate President, the Speaker of the House of Rep. Then also we engage the President of the country. Now, how do we go about it? The budget, since majority of the economy is controlled by government, let's prioritize the budget. Let's know what the needs are for Nigerians. For instance, if the rice we are consuming in a year, let's know the quantity. If it is Gary, let's know the quantity. By the time we itemize everything, now we start facing how we can meet the demand locally. Now, we tell the president and meet with the National Assembly, with those ministries that we domicile with those projects, let's fix those projects under the budget. And also to help the private sector. If we don't engage the leadership of the National Assembly and the president, we are just going to be beating around the bush. Let's deal with the budget. Let's prioritize our budget. If, for instance, look at the percentage of rice we're going to produce a year, the budget, let's have rice mills under maybe the Ministry of Niger Delta Affairs or Ministry of Agric. These are the number of rice mills you need to have in a year. Then the road to lead to it for ease of access, we can be done. Then if we need power and steel, fix it under social ministry, under the budget should be captured, and this is what prioritize our lean budget. Then the issue of, I saw a question by the professor talking about the reason why our forest is being affected, and that we should not be thinking of importing anything to the country. Anything depending on importation should be killed. We should be looking inward. And look at our refineries that how they work. You can, modular refineries can work. Let's start inward. We start gradually. Before we know it, jobs will be created, innovations will be created, and importation will decrease, forest will increase. That is just my humble suggestion. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much for your contribution. We really appreciate that. I see one of our past presidents here raise up his hand. I don't want to keep it too long, otherwise you'll fire me. Engineer Adebola Olorunfemi, please, your contribution, please.
Thank you very much, my chairman. I dare not do that unless I want to be factual. But let me congratulate the UK London branch as well as the chairman, who is doing a great job. I want to thank everyone on this platform, and let me thank especially Ayo Akinfe. Well, I'm sure we'll talk later. I want to thank you all. You've all said well. I kept mute to listen to others before making my contributions, so I can drive from where others have made their contributions. And they were very valid contributions. The presenter has done a good job, very, very conversant with what Nigeria is. By the way, the factory in Ibadan was Ezide. My classmates used to work there, battery, they do battery on the way to Iwo, Monoton area. And you can count a 1,000,001 companies like that. Let me plead very passionately that these conversations will continue and we return to practical. Nobody will genuinely come and beg you to come and develop Nigeria, because those who have taken over Nigeria in the past 30 years are not interested. They don't even want you to come. They want you to stay put, and they want to make everywhere dry. Like somebody said on this platform, I've been privileged to serve as president, I was commissioner in my state, lived all my life in Nigeria, so I know a great deal about what is happening, and it's rather unfortunate. Those who are in power are not the best of us in knowledge and all of that. Those who are knowledgeable are not in character. And so some of those who want to do, they head them out. So my plea to you is that you will kindly please, against all discouragement, against all bottleneck, please bring your expertise and your network. You will face challenges. You'll find, especially for those who have not lived there for a long time, you'll find very strange things. Where a leader will tell you to take your free money away. You're not going to give him or her 50% of what I'm bringing to help, it is as bad as that. But the honest truth is that what I have said this afternoon has been said over and over and over and over. I was 29th president. I can tell you, I can send to UK branch the what do we call it? What the issue after conferences and whatever. The very first conference in 1950 or so, it is the same communique till tomorrow. In terms of submitting papers to government, if you buy the banded copies and put it in the bowl, an airborne, you will feel 10 airbuses with no chairs, with no seats inside. In terms of engaging government and whatever, every Society of Engineers, every president, every leader has done that from onset. And I can tell you that in the last 10 years, we have 2 seats in council, one for the Senate, another for the House of Assembly. And we have a standing committee on engaging them. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, if you think they don't know what is right, but they see what themselves, they do know what is right. They've seen it, they've had it, but they are just hell-bent on shortaging and stealing all the money. So my plea, before I go any further, again, is that please, against all odds, bring your expertise, bring your connections, bring things. Just take it as, look, whether you like it or not, we're going to be part of this country. Let me assure you that you can talk to the leaders of NSE. There are also individuals that you have known over some time as classmates, general colleagues, that you can also talk to on the ground that can also give you that comfort. So that's my plea. I wrote something on the chart. I mean, you can imagine what Ayo told us about Nigerian paying for vaccine. We didn't hear that. What we had was that they gave us samples. As I talk to you, Nigeria is going to take a $1.2 billion loan from Brazil in kind, meaning that we're going to bring in assembled tractors, 10,000 and all of that. There are at least 6 companies in Nigeria assembling tractors, not the ones that have been moribund, not the Fiat, Shell, and all of that has been killed because of lies and corruption and what have you. So it is not an issue of not knowing what to do. It is not an issue of people not trying, but it's just that you must be determined as Nigerians in diaspora, working with like minds in Nigeria, to insist that you will do your best regardless of what anybody puts in your way. In some form or the other, government is trying to do something, but too little. But I hope that Dangote refinery will come up. I hope the government will adopt the NLNG formula, Nigerian Natural Gas template on NNPC. NNPC is a cash cow. It's where they steal all the money. I mean, we've been bringing Abacha money to Nigeria for 20+ years. I don't want to waste too much of your time. Please to you again. There's a lot of things that are happening, and NSE leadership is doing their very best. I mean, if you're not there, even if you are there, it can choke you up. But please, command all the courage, come together, bring all your knowledge, bring all your partners, and come and clear the situation. I'm not saying you should throw your money into the river, but if you don't come and we can't, or the bottleneck you put in your front will just be in this conversation in the next 30 years. I want to thank you once again.
Thank you very much, my president. Thank you very much for that contribution. Amazing stuff. Yes, we're ready. We've been talking for the last 6 months. We're ready. The moment Nigeria opens its airways and allow our plane to land in Lagos without quarantine us, we will be there to gather some momentum and try to speak to anybody in government. And some of those government people are present here today. So please, let's start talking. Let's start, strategizing how we could move our country forward in all this area. Engineer Daniel Coker, can you please unmute yourself and ask your question? We can't hear you. There's something not quite right. Say something. We still can't hear you. I'm going to come back to you. Yeah. Engineer Shidi, can you unmute yourself?
Hello, good afternoon.
Yes.
Can you hear me?
Yes, yes. Go on.
Hello, good afternoon, everybody. I want to thank the Nigerian Society of Engineers London branch for putting this together, and the speaker as well for a really insightful presentation. This is my first time of joining this webinar. Thank you. So the question that I have, again, is kind of like a summarization of the inputs that everybody has made up till now. I just wanted to ask, does the NSE have a 5, 10, or 20-year plan that looks towards improving or making Nigeria a value-added economy or manufacturing base? Because I think everything that we've just said now, there's no doubt that some of us in diaspora have the urge and the need to transfer our skills back home. However, there are certain bureaucratic, political, economic roadblocks that we think the NSE can support as either a pressure group or a lobbying group to support diaspora engineers for a better landing. So, is there a short, medium, long-term plan in the NSE that helps drive this initiative?
Right. Thank you very much, Shiri. I think I can answer that question. Yes. Each time a new president comes on board, and our president here will be able to tell us that they always come with their own package, with their own strategies as to how they want to move NSE forward. And what we do in London and other branches, whether in Nigeria and all that, is to look into that document and see what we can contribute as far as we could see what the president wants to achieve. Because there's no point us putting something and then NSE doesn't want to go along with it. It just defeats the purpose of actually working together. Recently, last week, when the Manchester branch presented something on e-library, again, that was something that the NSE president put forward, and they jumped on that, and they're now providing solution on how to achieve e-library in Nigeria. So things like that, we're working on. We need to make sure we tap into each other's ideas, each other, facilities or idea that they want to push forward rather than being separated. So yes, we're working. And if you have any fantastic idea you want to propose to us, please let us know. We have a tribal group within NSE London looking at so many other areas. And I've said to you, power is something we're looking at, and we're looking at other areas as well. So if you have any interesting idea, drop it on our WhatsApp and we'll take it from there. Right, Engineer Daniel Coker, are you back? Daniel? No? Still struggling with your mic? Right, Raphael Jumbo, please unmute yourself.
Okay. Good afternoon, all, and thank you, our dear presenter, for the nice presentation. I think one major thing we need to look at in this whole thing is our engineering education. There should be a collaboration, or if possible, a forced collaboration through legislation. There should be that collaboration between the engineering education and the agro-industry, manufacturing industry, and if possible, the oil and gas industry. That collaboration is not there. Even places that they are trying to have that collaboration is very weak, and it's easily broken down. So if that collaboration is there, the required manpower for those industries will always be easily improved upon from the university sector, from the engineering education sector. That is one thing that is prominently lacking in most of our Nigerian universities. And secondly, another issue, I'm also looking at this power sector. In the power sector, we realize that the distribution is mainly controlled by the government. And for the power to get to the end user, which in most times we are looking at the industries now, is via distribution. Is there no way that a legislation or a system should be raised whereby the producer, the generators of this power, can boycott that distribution and sell directly to this corporate entity? If possible, we can just look at the corporate entity, the industries, sell directly to them. If we produce, for instance, 7,000 megawatts, and we can only distribute 3,000 or 4,000, what happens to the rest? It's wasted. So if we can generate a legislative system, if the government can do this, it will help a lot, by which the generators sell directly to the industry, straight boycotting that distribution mechanism, or whereby the system, the generating system, we can build a smaller power plant within this industry or very close to this industry to help and boost this industry. That is the only way we can strive, because the way it is now, it's not working.
Thank you very much, Engineer Jumbo. Ayo, want to say something to that?
Yeah, I actually want to agree with him. Companies like Siemens and EDF Energy, they have what we call a vertically integrated supply chain, whereby when they manufacture a good, or say like in this case, power, they either have the distribution and transmission companies themselves, or if they don't, they enter into partnership or they create companies, supply companies that they work with, people they can rely on who match their standards. So yes, I fully agree with you. That needs to be done. You know, if we can get 2 or 3 big players in and get them to set the standard, it will cut out a lot of this nonsense, you know, whereby, you know, people have got distribution companies, but they can't afford transformers. They don't know what to do. So, and again, and lastly, on that issue of power, I would actually like to see the states and the local governments take more of a lead in this. Because if you know, it's a lot easier to distribute power within a local government area. So if every local government in Nigeria, we have 774 local governments, if everyone had a microgrid, we wouldn't have this power problem, because they'll be able to distribute power within their domain.
Right. Thank you. Thank you. Engineer Daniel Coker, are you back or no? I'm going to move on to somebody else. Are you able to speak? Probably no. Engineer Tony Ajala, can you unmute yourself, please? Engineer Ajala.
Oh, good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon, Dr. Popola, the presenter.
Let me just say a quick one. Engineer Ajala is a past president of Engineering Forum of Nigeria, and is a very active person in terms of helping young people, especially school children and all that, you know, outreach, STEMs and all that. Is very, very active in Ogun State or Ondo State, one of the two. So go ahead, engineer.
Thank you, Dr. Popola. Actually, you know, we don't believe in COVID, but COVID brought a lot of things out in this world, like what we're doing now. Let's say in those in the past, before the COVID, we'll be looking for a bigger place to have this type of meetings. But now we're doing everything through the Zoom. At the beginning of the COVID, I saw a lot of good things coming from Nigeria, especially the young ones. They came up with a lot of innovations. But what really got me, there's no leadership or anybody entrepreneur in Nigeria to say, look, what these guys are bringing up, these inventions, what can we do to promote it or to support it? For example, you know, I saw something on the WhatsApp on the sanitation, where you just need to use your foot to get the sanitizer, water, and every other thing on one pump. But there's nobody in Nigeria to say, let's do something about it. But maybe in a year's time, China or one of the Western worlds will manufacture this type of innovation, and then we Africans will start buying them. And that really gets me. Another thing which I want to talk about is about maintenance. Yes, we're always good to manufacture, to come up with new things. But what we've got, we've never maintained them. When I look at between Ishagamu and Ikene, we have cocoa farm in those days. What did we do about it? It's gone now. There are a lot of things there are a lot of things in Nigeria that we could have maintained and keep up. Even our highways, all the roads are destroyed. We're only looking at the roads that was constructed during the imperial period. What are we doing about it? So we need to know how we need to have the spirit of maintenance as well, maintaining what we've got, apart from creating new infrastructures. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Ayo, anything to say on that?
Yeah, I just say I think it's spot on. Maintenance is a big culture. One of the problems we had with Ayo Akinfe was that we did not sign a construction maintenance contract, and when it fell into disrepair, there was nobody to come in. We've got the same problem with the Abuja Stadium now. That stadium was built, I think, by Julius Berger, but we didn't sign a maintenance contract with them, and so the stadium's overgrown with weeds. Nobody's there to maintain it. You engineers, please, Nigerian Society of Engineers, be putting this case to the government. Whenever you build anything, sign a maintenance contract of at least 10 to 15 years. And after that, you can then renew it. That would save us a lot of bother.
Thank you very much. Engineer Camille Okedara, if you're there, unmute yourself, please. Oh, it's probably gone. Engineer Coker, are you back on yet? I'm not going to lose you.
Yes.
Oh, wonderful.
Can you hear me now?
Yes. Go ahead.
Thank you very much. First, I'd like to say thank you for having the patience to have me back on. And then secondly, I'd like to clarify, I am not an engineer, but I am somebody who's truly interested in the betterment of Nigeria. I left the country after going to school at University of Ife before it became Obafemi Awolowo and to Unilag. And I felt like I got a really good education, but then I left and came to the US. And I feel like I've lost, or Nigeria has lost its investment in me because I came here and I'm not returning back. So I am always interested in associations such as you have that's interested or working towards making Nigeria better. And I want to thank the presenter for all the suggestions he came up with. They are really, really good. And I think we should all take it to heart. One thing I've noticed, and I join a lot of conversations like this, is that we all tend to focus on what the government is doing or not doing. But as engineers, I want to challenge you to come up with a solution. Engineers come up with solutions. So if one of the challenges we have is that government is in the way, can you do a bypass around government? Are there things that we can do that can bring just a little change that can snowball into something much bigger? One of the suggestions that the presenter gave that I thought was something we should all be doing is inviting our own employers over here to come and invest in Nigeria and providing them reasons to do that. And one other conversation I've had with another engineer was, why is it that we are always using concrete to build houses in Nigeria? Can we do sheetrock like they do here, or use some other material that makes it easier to provide more housing for people? So I want to challenge the NSE about coming up with these solutions beyond just talking about what the government can or cannot do for us. Thank you for having me on.
Thank you very much, Daniel. I'm glad you declared that you're not an engineer. This group is not just for engineers, so you have to join our WhatsApp group. As you see Ayo there, Ayo is not an engineer, but some of the things Ayo comes up with, it really challenges us. So please don't give up. We're going to be working together on this. It's not just the engineer that can deliver the country. other people as well. Look at our government. It's full of lawyers and barristers and people who have no idea about engineering or how to develop a country, and they're ruling our country. So we need thinker like you. So please, at the end, you see our WhatsApp group, you see our email, please write to us. We'll put you on board, and we need to download your thinking. We need to download your brain, and we need to partner with you. So thank you very much for that. Engineer, maybe I have to stop using the word engineer, but some people don't like it. Camille, are you back? My brother. Camille Okedara, are you back?
Thank you, Dr. Popola. Actually, let me seriously thank the presenter today. If we are looking for justice, I think he has done more than that on the topic. And if we're actually looking for content and spread, he has delivered on both. So congratulations, Mr. Ayo, for your job well done. Let me also congratulate UK for London branch for putting this together. Actually, I already put my questions on the chat because I really didn't want to talk. But I think since I've been invited, I will still have to say it out. I want to thank all the contributors so far, but I want to also want you to shed light on some of the issues. Because when we are looking at Dangote Refinery, and we're saying, okay, fine, if Dangote Refinery comes on board, probably next year, it will ease the pressure on the petroleum demand. Do you now think that the removal of subsidy is hasty? That's the first question. My second concern is on our contribution, and I think that there is this need for us to step up our engagement with government and everyone in government, because at the moment the key infrastructure ministries are headed by a non-technical person, and it's like we are okay with it. I am not going to blame government for doing that. I'm going to blame us for not engaging enough. So I think this is a call for challenge, particularly those of us in diaspora. I think it's good we are starting, but I think we need to engage more. A lot of us, as soon as we left, we forgot things about the country. And I think this is the time for us to step up our engagement. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Kamal. Come in. Ayo.
Thank you. Engineer, okay, there are two things. First of all, oil subsidy removal. You see that oil subsidy program, I've studied it in depth when I was writing my book, Fueling the Delta Path. And I can honestly tell you, I still don't understand the subsidy regime as we speak, right? For me, a subsidy exists when the production price exceeds the sales price. So you pay the subsidy to the consumer and to the producer, you understand, to cover his losses because he's selling at below production cost. That is how subsidies work. So if you produce rice at $10 a ton, but it's selling on the market for $8 a ton, you give the farmer that extra $2 to $3 so that he's not out of pocket, so he's encouraged to keep producing. Now, apply that to the Nigerian petrol industry. I don't understand how it works. Who is subsidizing who? When oil prices go up and down, does the subsidy change? So for me, the whole subsidy thing is just a racket. Let's remove it. Let's remove it and let us actually see if there is any need to subsidize any sector. Because for now, I can't get my head around it. So I'm in favor of full removal. Let us sell crude oil at the market price. If it's too much, then the government can intervene. But for now, let's at least clear the cobwebs so we know what we're dealing with.
I think the problem with that also is lack of enough refinery in the country. If the country have enough refinery, this issue will just disappear on its own, really. Yeah.
Very true.
Dr. Okwala, when the refineries were even working at either partial capacity or full capacity, we had subsidy.
Okay.
So
Right,
I think it's a systemic issue, not a refinery issue per se.
Okay. Right. Thank you very much. Right. I'll see a couple of people that have raised up their hand, but I'm conscious of time because I really want to finish. We want to finish this thing by 4 o'clock. So we've got about 10 more minutes or so, and there's quite a few other things we need to cover. So let me just see who else is in there that really. Sadiq Bomoy. I know you were the first one to join the platform today, so I'm going to give you an opportunity to ask your question. Engineer Sadiq Bomoy, please unmute yourself. Please unmute yourself, Engineer Sadiq. Right. Okay, I think he's having a problem. Barbos, UK Limited. Please unmute yourself. And ask your question, please. We can't hear you. We cannot hear you.
Can you hear me?
Now you can. Now we can hear you. Yeah.
Okay. I'm grateful for being here with you. It's a privilege to be with you guys. A consideration and a question. The consideration is first of all, I need to say thank you to Ayo Akinfe for incredible presentation. Nigeria issue, I think, is pretty much about collaboration among Nigerians. We need to be open. I will not mention a country, but in Europe after the war, the most corrupt nation was among the continental Europe. And what the citizen of the nation did was to work together. And today is one of the top engineering product and services producer or supplier in the world. So my question is, what is stopping Nigerians, in particular Nigerian engineers, from ignoring the government and work together? Because the engineering has solution to most of the human needs. So the question is, what is stopping Nigerian engineers or Nigerians from working together? Thank you.
Thank you.
In answer to your question, engineer, two issues I think have affected our psyche. One was a lengthy period of military rule where we were used to taking orders from Oga at the top, and that stifled our ability to think. Two, this dependency on oil. If you look at it, everybody's thinking, oh, government, 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 government. There are so many little things you and me can do that we don't need the government, but our mentality, our psyche is geared towards the government. I mean, I'll give you an example. When the railway started in the UK, the first line was from Manchester to Liverpool. The government had nothing to do with it. The government didn't even know what was happening. It wasn't until World War I, when the government needed the railways to transport munitions to the front line, that they intervened and then nationalized the railways. So, you know, and I can go on and on. I mean, we all used to watch our cowboy and Indian films in the Wild Wild West. All what was happening there in, you know, in the Midwest in America. Because there was no government in those places anyway. So it's a mental thing more than actually a practical. In a lot of the cases, even when the government comes in, they don't have the solution. You and me have the solutions more than the government. I mean, I'm from Ondo State. My family has grown cocoa for the last 4 or 5 generations. What government is going to come and teach me how to shed cocoa pods? You understand? I don't need their expertise. I don't want their expertise. I know it better than them. You understand? But it's a mental thing. So I don't know, we need to reorientate ourselves and get away from this dependence. And it's something I think the NSE needs to focus on. Educate your members. Hey, say you can do it, not the government. You.
Right. Thank you. Thank you very much for that. That's a very, very interesting question and a very positive answer. Yes, we can do it. I mean, we shouldn't really expect the government to do everything for us. That's my belief. When I want to do anything in Nigeria, if I'm able to do it by myself, I just go ahead and do it. But I publicize it so well that they are aware of it, and then they want to come and talk to me rather than me chasing them. For me, that's a method that I use, and it has worked very well. And all of us use the same method. If it's small enough that you're capable to do it yourself, you don't need government for it, right? Oh, Engineer Gabriel Ige, please.
Good evening. Mr. Akinfe, thank you very much. You didn't disappoint us, especially your facts and figures, which are very meaningful. Well, my question has been asked so many times before, but I think it's still relevant, even though we engineers and the populace, there's a lot that we can do as groups. But we still, at the end of the day, if you're going to have properly coordinated policies, and if the governments are not going to get your way, because they're in charge of land and all sorts of things, then you still need the government to some extent. So my question is, what is the best way you would suggest we go about engaging the government so that they take industrialization of Nigeria seriously? Because government after government come and they promise all sorts, but at the end of the day, they only deliver about maybe 5% of what's required. So how can we actually get them to take this industrialization seriously? Because it's not a science.
Thank you. Ayo.
Yeah, to be honest, I think all you engineering associations need to have an annual meeting, at least an annual meeting with the government. You should get them to put it into their calendar. And it's something we don't do enough of. I'll give you an example. When I was actually doing my postgrad, I remember doing I was doing a work placement at the Guardian in the UK, and this was during the budget. And I was working on the budget submissions. And what I found out was that whenever the Chancellor in the UK wants to present the budget, every single trade association, it could be the Scotch Whisky Association, it could be the Manufacturers Association, it could be the Retailers Association, all of them made budget presentations to say, look, sir, we want you to cut tax in our area, we want you to increase the import duty in our area. That was a good eye-opener for me. The Chancellor of the Exchequer in the UK, the Finance Minister, is under a lot of pressure from industries. Everybody is fighting for their own corner. We don't do enough of that in Nigeria, and the government is getting away with it. So NSE, I think I want you guys to go away from this saying, you know what, 2020, we're going to meet with the Minister of Industries, we're going to meet with the Minister of Trade, and we're going to make demands, and we're going to make it an annual ritual, year in, year out. It's no longer going to be business as usual.
Thank you very much. All those guys from the ministry and all the parastatals, I'm sure you're listening to this. Please take this on board. We're coming to sit down with you guys and start to synergize and moving things forward. Engineer Aga Ndukwe, I know we called you earlier, but you were not able to unmute. If you're able to unmute now, can you please ask your question? Then I'm going to ask one more person to ask question after that, and that we're going to wrap it up. So Engineer Ndukwe, please.
Yes. Yes, can you hear me, sir?
Yes, we can. Go ahead.
I want to thank the speaker. Yes, I want to thank the speaker for the marvelous lecture. My concern is how can we get the government and the local authorities to give engineers the needed opportunity to exercise their skills towards nation building, especially in the areas of manufacturing, food processing, and so on. For instance, laboratories are the first areas where things are carried out. Different experimentations are conducted to ascertain optimal output. But in recent times, our laboratories in different institutions are not properly equipped. And when hardworking researchers go extra mile and perhaps send samples of work for analysis and finally come out successfully, no proper attention is paid to whatever output, whatever result they have.
I'll tell you, your audio is very bad. I could hardly hear. I don't know if Ayo can hear what you were saying. I can hardly hear at all. I think the best thing, if you don't mind, type your questions. Otherwise, we're just going to be wasting the time listening to you, but we can't hear you properly. Right. Engineer Akim Adelakun, can you please mute and ask your question?
Hello. Hello.
Yes, and turn your TV down, please. You can hear your TV in the background. Thank you.
Yeah. Thanks for this presentation, Ayo. I mean, it's very interesting. I've read a lot of things on the NSE, the thing you're posting on the NSE London, UK platform. What you said is quite true, but my worry is that linking up with the necessary people in Nigeria to work with can be very, very challenging. It's going to be difficult for us to be able to talk to the Minister of Trade or Technology or whatever, because they are well protected, even to go to any of these people. So what my question is, what's the best way? Because there are some of these projects we are talking about, you cannot do it without the government involvement. When I say government involvement, maybe just to give you the enabling environment, to set up, to give you the opportunity to do some of these issues. I've had this kind of experience because when I was in Nigeria trying to introduce new things to them. I was in Nigeria for 4 years and I tried to introduce some new things to them. As former president of NSE said, Engineer Olorunfemi, every turn that I took, I was blocked. And most of them believed they are doing me a favor. Until when I went and did the same thing I was trying to assist Nigeria with, until when I went to do it in Ethiopia, that's when they are now saying, why didn't you do it in Nigeria? And it was after Nigeria that I was in Ethiopia. So it's difficult to actually link up with these people. And I'm just thinking, what is the best way of getting to the people that matters, the decision takers, the decision makers, who can then say, yes, this is the way we can go about it. And sometimes some of these ministers themselves, they don't know what they're doing. I'm sorry to say.
Thank you, Engineer. Ayo, that's a political question there. You're the only one that
it's
can
very
answer
frustrating. I can fully understand where it's coming from. I've had it myself. A lot of the things are right. You're not the only ones who read them. I know some governors have read them too. I know of one governor who actually, we spoke, he emailed me and he said, let's meet up. And he passed the message on to his PA. Please sort out a meeting. I want Ayo to come and see me. You know, this was about 3 years ago. We still haven't held that meeting till today. Because these PAs, you know, there are all sorts of people. You know, they want someone to be bribed, someone to steal the project, someone ask you for ideas so they can go away. And you have to persevere. It really can be frustrating. But there's several ways. Maybe you can write sometimes. It's not, Nigeria is not for the faint-hearted. Let me put it that way. If you throw in the towel, you know, you will just die a bitter man. So I just hang on in there. Sometimes after a few years, they come back to you, as happened in your case. So unfortunately, not everybody is thinking like you and me. So yes, we're not going to get people to say, hey, this is a brilliant idea. Yeah, let's go for it. So my advice is don't lose up, don't give up, don't despair, but just keep trying, keep pushing. Maybe one day the door will open.
Yes, I totally agree with that. So Engineer Kim, don't give up. And anybody else that have any good, fantastic idea, don't give up.
Sorry, if I can contribute to that, sharing from a practical experience. I had similar experience too. I met the governor of Ekiti State now. We met in a flight some couple of years back, you know, and we chatted. But the good thing is, after our discussion, we exchanged contacts, and he did the same thing. Then gave his gave my number to his PA to follow up and stuff like that. But I tell you, after about a year or two, the PA never followed up. But I was shocked when his mother died, and he sent me a text message. You know, I had that opportunity to now, follow up. So my advice is, when you have the opportunity of meeting them, just exchange contact so that you can follow up directly. Most often they don't even know that their assistants are not even doing the needful.
Okay, thank you very much. Thank you very much, everybody. Thank you. Those guys that I wasn't able to call to ask a question, we're very sorry. We're worried about time. We need to close down. There's quite a few other things we need to make to your attention before I get one of my colleagues to thank Ayo Akinfe for this amazing conversation. I love it. Right. Okay. Next week. Oh, next week? Is it next week? 2 weeks time. Yeah, we have our next webinar, and that will be with our famous engineer in the Ministry of Works and Infrastructure, Lagos State. They're doing some fantastic work there. Engineer Ramide Adedoye, FNSC. She's going to be talking on the strategic infrastructure master plan for Lagos State, the past, the present, and the future, and showing us some of these beautiful things they're doing in Lagos State, and see how other states will emulate such development. And on the same day, unfortunately, thank God it's not the same time, on the same day we have our Protem Scotland or Scottish NSE branch. This is a second webinar series on the same day, 19th of September at 5 o'clock. Now we're about 4 o'clock now, so we have an hour to have a cup of tea and our cake and pounded yam after the 2 o'clock seminar to jump on the 5 o'clock. And then we're going to have Mr. Graham Mitchell. Sorry about the misspell of the name there. It should be I-M-I and M-O. That's going to be talking about Asador's area classification in industry and legislation. I have the Protem chairman of Scottish Air, engineer, and Sheung Adediran. You want to say something about this presentation? Can you unmute yourself?
Yeah, thank you. Thanks so much, Dr. P, and thanks, Mr. Ayo, and thanks for all the people on the platform just now. Thanks for that announcement. To be honest, there's not really much to add to what you just said now, but what we'd like to encourage people is to, to attend that. They will not regret it at all. It's going to be explosive one in terms of the knowledge, especially when you are working in industry and you really need to know what is going on in terms of Asadio's area. And this is it's a special area of expertise that we have few people around the world that knows this. And we'll be looking forward to welcome everyone, especially from the London branch and Manchester and all over Nigeria. Thank you. Thanks, Dr. P, for putting all this together.
No problem, no problem. We'll be there in all our glories. Just make sure there's a forero and pounded yam is ready afterwards.
You can't miss it. Thank you.
Right, okay. Yes. I'm gonna call on my colleague, Engineer Theo, to give a closing remark for this amazing presentation. Theo.
Yeah, thank you very much, Engineer Sunday Pukwola, and I'm so grateful for the resounding attendance for today's program. More so, whereby the speaker happens not to be an engineer, but definitely he has been able to kind of lay bare his mind, coming from the passion that he has for our dear country, Nigeria. And I want to say he has laid a gauntlet down to us engineers that we need to pick it up now and do something fantastic and turn the situation around. He made a very profound statement that really hit us. I mean, hit me personally. He said, engineers profile solutions. Engineers profile solutions. This is aptly right. And I believe definitely he has challenged us today. And we need to go back into our closets and begin to kind of think of solutions out of this quagmire. Thank you very much, Mr. Ayo Akinfe, for an insightful session. We really enjoyed. I mean, I was looking at you on the video. You were talking with so much passion and confidence. You know, you have this kind of a doable personality, that this thing is doable. And I thank you for that. You are telling us exactly that it's not one big daunting problem. We can solve the problem. And thank you for reposing so much confidence in us engineers to provide solutions. And also, I want to say thank you to our senior engineers in the house, the president of Nigerian Certificate representatives, my colleagues, and the people I call Ogas. You know, we have to put Oga engineer in their name before I call them. And mentors and colleagues are right. And I want to thank you also for taking your time to participate and give laudable and credible comments. Also, I want to say a profound thank you to non-engineers, but who have a passion for the country. I really need to mention that. Non-engineers in the house who have a great passion for the development of the country. We really appreciate you. And please, from today, please make it a point of duty to attend and let us know your thoughts. And I know definitely we will be able to get there as soon as possible. The next webinar is going to be on the 19th, as Doctor has said, and it's all about looking at the past, the present, and the future concerning Lagos State. Lagos State is being considered as a kind of a small macrocosm of what Nigeria should be. And I want us to be there as well to see what our dear presenter has got to say. So for all Lagosians like me on board, don't ever miss it. So I want to say thank you once again to everyone on board, both in Nigeria, abroad, and in the UK. And I believe you have a wonderful weekend. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Just before we wrap up, I could see our president raising up his hand again. Engineer Olorunfemi, is that from previously, or you want to say something again? Can you unmute yourself? I think that must be from previously. So I'm gonna ask him to lower his hand. Anyway, thank you very much once again. If you want to join us or join any of the UK branches, we have the chairperson of Manchester Air, Engineer Books, and we also have the chairperson of Glasgow or Scottish Air.
Chair London, UK.
All right. President, go ahead, quick.
Thank you very much. A good one again. Just to emphasize my conclusion, which two people did mention. Somebody did say, coming to help Nigeria, our country, is not for the chicken-hearted. I am compelled personally to say again that you must not look at the odds. I mean, because like I said, they just don't want anybody to come and do anything to get things right. Get the money and share. So please, don't be discouraged. And let me again reassure you that the leadership of NSE and a good number of individuals, when you come in, start from linking up with your friends, colleagues, and all of that you have been in contact with, and you know a good deal of their pedigree. I'm sorry to say, not essentially new friends most of the time, friends in power, but the ones that you have known for quite a while, have a good deal of their pedigree. We'll be delighted to have you come back. The new branches, London, Houston, Manchester, Scotland, is opening a lot of opportunities. And it gives you opportunity to be able to come in officially and do something. Thank you very much again for the opportunity.
Thank you very much, President. You're welcome. So on that note, I'm going to say thank you. If you want to join London branch or any other branch, we'll have our details on the screen at the moment. You could either contact us through the phone number you see there, 0795-735-7079, or email on cladsoap@gmail.com. On that note, I'm going to ask everybody to unmute themselves. Please unmute yourself, and let's give a good round of applause to Engineer. Now today I'm going to call him Engineer. Otumba Engineer Ayo Akinfe. Thank you very much for this wonderful presentation. Please let's clap for Ayo, please. And we'd love to have you back again after your book has been published. Send us the link so that we can all buy your book online. Well done, Ayo. Well done. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Well done, Ayo.
Thank you.
We bring container to Nigeria.
This now conclude our AGM stroke engineering webinar number 4 this year. So we see you all in 2 weeks' time on the 19th, where 2 fantastic presentations will be made at 5 o'clock by Mr. Graham Mitchell, and then at 2 o'clock, Engineer Ramide Adeyoye, FNSC. So have a beautiful weekend. I'm going party tonight. I know COVID is still there, but I'm going to a party tonight.
Please invite me. Oh.
Wish me well.
Thank you, Doctor.
Yeah. Ayo, thank you. We're really grateful to have you.
Thank you. Yeah, all right.
Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you, Doctor.
Well done, Chairman. Nice one. Nice one.
Right.
Thank you, Mr. Akinfe.
Thank you, Mr. Ayo Akinfe, and thank you to.
What's the mobile number again, please?
Is 079 plus 44 is 0795.
Can you type it there so I can? Because I'm driving.
All right. Okay. All right. What do you want me to do? Type it on the chat?
Yes. Then I can just copy it. Just send it, everybody. Where is it again? Yeah. Okay. That's it. Yes. Copy. Yes. 7079.
You shouldn't be doing this while you're driving, yo. This is dangerous.
I've packed. Just stop now.
Please, yo. I don't want to be charged for causing any problem. Engineer Martin, nice to see you.
Is that your own personal number?
No, yeah, it is my personal number.
How are you? All right, thank you.
We'll see you next week for Lagos.
Yeah, see you in 2 weeks' time, Engineer Martin. Yeah, on time, oh.
Thank you.
No Nigerian time, oh. One proper.
See you in Lagos.
One time, what need to be there on time, yeah? We thank everybody for coming on today. It's beautiful. Thank you. Thank you all.
Thank you, Dr. P. Thank you, Mr. Ayo Akinfe. And thank you, everyone.
Hey, Patrick, thank you very much for promoting this.
Thank you, sir. You're most welcome, sir.
We had a good audience.
Patrick!
Yes, sir.
Thank you, Patrick.
How you doing?
Fine, thank you, sir. Yes, sir.
Our friend said he was in the bush in the morning.
Who is that, sir?
Our friend.
All right. Okay.
I think he has hit the ground running.
That's right. That's right.
Hopefully
President, sir, I remain loyal.
Jagaban of Manchester City.
President, sir.
Jagaban of Manchester City.
I remain loyal. I queue behind the president.
Any other Jagaban is a counterfeit.
There is one in Lagos.
That one is another Jagaban in diaspora. It's counterfeit. Have a name.
I just stay here. I'm still expecting manna from Nigeria.
God will forgive you. You refuse to send my palliative. Where is our chairman?
He was on then he left. He was on. Yes.
Enjoy the rest of the weekend.
All right, sir. And you too, sir.
President, before you go, sir.
Yes. How come you?
I need us to discuss that infrastructure scorecard.
Okay. You have a copy now?
I will create a chat room.
Okay. You have a copy now?
No, I don't.
Okay, I'll send you the soft copy.
Please do.
Soft copy.
Yes, please do.
We can also bring you into the committee, even though you won't get a letter for now, because but let me send you the copy first, then we will take it from there. We need people like you.
In fact, actually, the last discussion we had, it's like you had left. I was saying there is a way we could match that your scorecard, into some developmental agenda.
No, I think I was still there.
You were there.
But
okay.
luckily, officially, Obux is a member. I will. We definitely can incorporate that.
Okay, that's good. That's good. Okay, please share it. Let's see how it goes.
Copy now.
We really need to take it from there. And I think it's a fantastic. Anyway, you already set that one as a record.
Thank you very much. The people work. I only sign. People work. I only sign up.
But you initiated. Leadership is key in anything.
We bless God.
That's true.
And that is what is affecting us